He's out of control! So I'm working on the Wi-Fi Buggy right now, and this ESP826607 is so tiny. Like, these pins on the side are not the normal like breadboard size. So I'm cruising along, wiring everything up. It's like, yay, it works. And I realize, like, how the hell do I program this thing? The ESP have a little serial plug-in thing, you just drop it in. This one, I think I'm gonna have to like solder some taps to the TXRX pins and program it that way somehow. I gotta look into that crap. So this is just more work, but it will work. I already use the ESP as a wireless system on the Torque LiDAR, so I know how to use it. This is the circuit with the Seeeduino. So the ESP is talking to the Seeeduino using serial. Servos are just digital pins. This one takes 5 volts in, but the ESP uses 3.3, so I still need the step down. Alright, here it is all wired up. I burnt my fingertips, so I was like, what happens if I hold the end of a soldering iron? So earlier when I demoed this, this blue light was not solid. But now it is. Usually indicates like a problem on boot. So here I'm flashing ESP01 code to the ESP01. This is the thing that connects to the Wi-Fi and has a WebSocket server that the web interface or the Raspberry Pi can talk to. Yeah, so this is interesting. Initially the wires were all connected to the V-in, which to me was like, that just means it's parallel wired, right? But I ended up having to desolder it and branch the power from the switch. I did just notice I'm one pin off. The last one isn't connected to anything. So the RX pin, no, TX pin isn't connected to anything. This could be the problem. These pins are supposed to be isolated from each other. Except like 2 of them, because they're bridged by a resistor, but all of them are connected somehow. Alright, I repositioned it and it's working. So yeah, this soldering set was bad. Ugh, now I gotta suck these out and pull that thing out. So I'm dealing with a weird problem right now. It only wants to run one servo at a time, which I don't understand. So after I cleaned up the power bus wiring, it was good. I noticed the can was making like a snapping sound, so I guess there was like a slow short. Anyway, it's working now, and then I just gotta make sure it goes straight. This is from code I wrote like 3 years ago. But the gist is, the midpoint is 90. That means the servos aren't moving. If you go in either direction, like above or below that, that's the clockwise, counterclockwise. And then the farther away from midpoint the value is, the faster the servo goes. So you use that, you can use like differential steering or go slow, go fast. There you go. A basic buggy. And then slap the brain on it. This is what actually steers it. So now I have to make I already have the WebSocket thing running, it's just not bridged. I'm going to make a basic like forward, left, forward, that kind of controller. So there's a problem with Arduino where it's not multi-threaded, so you have to do one thing at a time. So if I wanted to make my interface where you hold a button down and say go, and this thing has a thing that's checking messages, you would have the robot keep going forward by a loop that keeps writing to the server to move it, but you can't receive the message that says like stop or go. So I think what I'm going to do is I know the diameter of the wheels, so if it turns a degree, I'll know how far the robot should have moved forward or any direction. And then if I know like how far I want to move, I'll just give it a command like turn to 5 times or something, and it won't listen for any messages while it's doing that, and then it'll stop and it'll ask, alright, what do you want me to do next? So there's something weird going on now. When it writes to the servos, they don't move, and I measured the voltage on the rails. They have power. So the problem is just bad wiring. I need to resolder it again. You're listening to 97 Rock. Alright, so this is a crappy web interface. Talks to the thing. I say go forward. Goes forward. There's a delay from the holding of the socket, so it's definitely not going to be like a real-time control deal. So here's a little controller. Focus. You can see the polling messaging. That's the source of the lag, so there's no immediate command. But if I push forward, I can. That's hover or CSS. It's not actually constant. Yeah, and I limited it, like, that's just 2 calls. So I'll have to calculate, like, based on how big the wheels are, how far forward it'll move. You can also, like, control how fast it goes and all that.